Welcome to Almost Here, Round the Corner Future Technology podcasts with Richard Jacobs. Future technologies poised to transform our lives for better or worse are the focus of this podcast. Almost here means these technologies are now here and starting to be used, or just around the corner, from Bitcoin to artificial intelligence, 3D printing, blockchain, virtual reality, and more.
Hello, this is Richard Jacobs with the Future Tech and Future Tech Health podcasts, and I have Andrew Walker. He's the co-founder of Little West, and the website is littlewest.com. So, Andrew, thanks for coming.
Thanks so much for having me, Richard. Appreciate it.
Yeah, first of all, where did the name come from, Little West? It's not like the Wild West to the Far East, but Little West. Why is it named that?
So originally, my wife and I, who started the company 6 years ago here in Los Angeles, California, we named the company Clover Juice. That was named after our niece, inspired by our niece, but also, named after her. And we had some trademark issues, along with all the other, challenges that startups have. Ours was our name as we grew into a predominantly wholesale business, and so we ended up having to pivot and change our name. And staying within the family, we decided to call it Little West, which our son's name is West, so it was inspired of after our son. And we wanted something that depicted where we're from, where we use where we're sourcing our produce from. So California inspired.
Yeah, very cool. So all right, so what's the premise of Little West? What do you guys offer?
So the premise of Little West is basically, and this is what was so great about falling on the name Little West, because we've always been a moderation company. So we've never really pushed our cleanses too hard, even though we do offer cleanses and kits and other, multiple drink options. We always say one juice a day will change your life. And so our tagline is a little West goes a long way. And so we offer in store. We only have one brick and mortar. We currently only have one brick and mortar. We started with 3, and we scaled that back and really focused entirely all of our energy on wholesale. But we offer smoothies. We offer a lot of superfoods in the store. We offer, we're working with a lot of cordyceps mushrooms. But mainly our focal point is the juice. And so we have 14 different SKUs, ranging from 4 different green juices, kind of hardcore greens to a sweeter greens with pineapple. No sugars, of course, added outside of the fruit sugars.
Right.
And we do shots as well in the store.
So, in terms of juices and cleanses, I mean, there's a whole world out there. From what I understand, let's say when you juice stuff, it's good to keep the pulp in there and the bodies of the fruits and, even the vegetables, because it adds fiber and it reduces the impact of the sugar in the juice. So I don't know, what kind of tweaks or, where are you in this universe of juice and cleanses? Again, there's many areas. So what have you seen that you've chosen to avoid, and where are you focusing?
Yeah, so, that's the reason why we do our smoothies in the store, to really, we continue to get the fiber out of, we blend everything with a Vitamix. We put, whole shoots of kale and spinach and everything in the blender. So you're getting a lot of the fibers in that. But the juice is definitely just, it's more mineral and vitamin packed. And so we add, we do a lot of anti-inflammatory roots and such as ginger and turmeric. But yeah, you miss out in the cold pressing process. You miss out in some of the fibers, but you're still getting a lot of those minerals. You're getting a lot of the anti-inflammatory properties. You're getting, just everything you'd get in the body of an apple and a citrus fruits. So that's really what we specialize in, is just, extracting the most health benefits out of these products as possible in the cold pressed method. And cold pressing is done with this, it's a 500 pound machine. that basically slowly presses all of the produce and the fruits and vegetables, and we continue to do small batch. So a lot of the time, juice companies, when they start growing, they'll do by percentages. So they'll juice all the kale, they'll juice all the spinach, all the apple, and they'll basically fill the bottle in percentages. We still do a small batch process, which means basically we are putting in a very small amount of bottles, or equivalent to what would be 25 bottles of juice at one time in the cold pressing machine, and we slow process it, and then it gets filled up in the bottles, and then we put it through a technology called high pressure processing, which is basically a large cold water chamber, kind of similar to a tanker, like an oil tanker on a 18-wheeler, and a few thousand bottles go in this, and they apply 87,000 pounds of pressure on the water on the bottles in cold water, and that ultimately gives you shelf life by killing the 5 bacteria that can form over time. But there's no heat involved, so you're still keeping the nutrients intact.
Cool.
And so that was our model. It changed throughout the years. We did do raw juice at the very beginning, 3-day shelf life, with our storefront. But as wholesale really started to pick up, we kind of decided to go where the demand was pulling us.
Well, I have a question. So the kale and the other vegetables that you'd put in, I mean, fruits are always raw by definition. I've never heard of like cooked juice, but what about the vegetables? When you say raw, is it just because of the process, or are they raw in the cold press process as well?
Yeah, so it's a good question. Raw, basically, meaning we don't do anything. Once back, when we first started 6 years ago, we would juice all of our produce and just immediately put it into a bottle, cap it, put it on our shelf, and that's considered raw. Also, centrifugal. If you're going to do like a centrifugal juicer, the old school one is called the NutriFaster 2000. You'd probably see that in your local juice shop, where you go get the juice made on the spot. Not saying one is better than the other, but centrifugal just gives you less shelf life. So you can't do a centrifugal juicer and do 20 bottles of all your 10 flavors, let's say, and have it and bottle it, cap it, put it on the shelf. It wouldn't last for more than 24 hours max because of that foam and because of the heat involved. So where the whole method and the craze of cold pressed has kind of come on the scene has been because people were looking for a healthy way of getting shelf life on their juice, and so cold pressed extracts the most out of a fruit and vegetable. And you basically you could take this mulch out of the bag of the cold press machine and squeeze it, and zero liquid comes out of it. No juice will come out of it. It's just dry mulch. So that's what we do, and that's what we originally raw is the immediate juiced product after you go through the cold presser, but then you put it through one more step, which is called, either people will pasteurize or some people will UV pasteurize, which is just a flash pasteurized process. Or if you want to, pay a little bit more money to kind of keep those nutrients intact, you would go through a high pressure process machine. And so technically you can't call it raw juice after you put it through that one process. But the FDA the FDA has come down really hard on the industry over the past few years, and it's mandatory that you have to put your product through a process in order to sell it to a third party purveyor.
It makes sense. I mean, there could be perhaps bad bacteria on some of the produce. I mean, there's been, I don't know if it's E. coli or what, but certain raw produce has been affected badly and people have gotten sick.
Yeah, listeria.
I understand why they do it.
Yep.
And also too, if you just throw stuff into a juicer, I mean, the people that work at the place have to clean the juicer and all that. Your process sounds a lot more, safety and health conscious because of the way you do it. So it makes sense.
Absolutely. that was the main component to our to the methods that we're doing now. Because even though my wife was drinking raw juice throughout her entire pregnancy, it's kind of shunned upon, but with certain people. But this way, elderly and pregnant women and baby and young kids can drink all of our juice.
Okay, cool. Why do you make it in small batches? Why not larger ones? Is there any problem with stuff sitting around before it gets pressed and pressurized?
No, it's just we've done it multiple different ways, and it always keeps coming back to the quality of the color consistency and the flavor profiles we're getting is a much higher grade than doing it the way we're doing it now, as opposed to juicing individual ingredients and then adding them percentage wise in the bottle.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I've had juices before, and I tried to get closer and closer to just vegetable, and but I was afraid, if I just got vegetable only, it would be like blah. So, is it possible, in your experience, to have just vegetable juice and it's still, sweet enough that it's not gross, or is it you have to have some kind of like fruit in there, like apple juice or something?
Well, you ask me, I'd say one thing. You ask my wife, she'll say another thing. But she's really into the hardcore juices, and being in the hub of health and wellness here in Los Angeles, we do very well with our non-sweet green juices. So we do a one of our juices is a broccoli and asparagus base. It's got kale and spinach in there, and a ton of lemon. So you get that lemon. It's almost like a green lemonade. And so that's actually it's a really nice juice, and you throw a little pink Himalayan salt in there, and it's a very satisfying juice. We do another juice that's E3 Live and Spirulina. That one also has a lot of lemon in there, but it also doesn't have any sweetness to it. So, except for the coconut water. The coconut water sweetens it a tiny bit. But yeah, I mean, look, the everyday palate, we're all, especially the American palate, it's all geared towards more sweet. It's like, you look at the wine scene that we have right now. In the wine scene, people want young wines. They want full, bold flavors, Cabernet, that's why cabs are so popular. Whereas you go into, Europe and it's more leather, and they want more of a subtle, plum, or, and they're willing to wait it out, for the wine to become ripe for the drinking.
Gotcha.
Here in the States, people want more sweet. So we kind of do a little bit for everybody.
All right, well, let's talk about your cleanses. So what are the cleanses? Are they like hand-picked selections of juices that you take in a certain order, or what's in them? How do they work?
Yeah, so our cleanses are they're picked by my wife and I, and they are very specific. I mean, we've gone throughout the years. We've had, nutritionists working with us, and we've had, sports professionals working with us. And really, where the cleanses have really fallen now for us are just what we feel kind of allows people to feel their optimal self in during the cleanse. Because when you prepare yourself for a cleanse, it's a big commitment. You're saying, okay, look, I need to, you plan it on a Tuesday, let's say, and you want you're ready to receive this cleanse at 6 a.m. shows up on your doorstep, and it's 8 juices. You get 1 tea in there as well, so you can finish your day with tea. You start your day with a green meal cap, and basically the cleanses, we have a beginner, an intermediate, and an advanced. And the beginner is obviously it's a little more palatable for people that they don't really know what to expect with a cleanse. So a little more flavor profiles in there. So you have, and also what we've done a little differently with our cleanses is we partnered up with a couple people that we really love their products. For example, in the morning time, you have a green meal cap, you have a Vive organic shot. So they're friends of ours. They do shots. They do amazing shots, turmeric, ginger, and some pineapple. So you start your day with that. The breakfast, this is for the beginner cleanse. Take juice, which is the clover, and that is kale, cucumber, celery, spinach, pear, cilantro, mint, and lime. Then I won't go through all the, bore you with all the details of the ingredients, but basically, morning snack, you have a watermelon, mint, lime. We put watermelon rind in our watermelon juice, just going back to health properties first. And then you move on from there. Basically, you're doing 8 juices, and you finish your at dinner with a nut milk to get your fibers. And our nut milk blend is a almond, cashew, coconut nectar, Tahitian vanilla bean. We actually take the real Tahitian vanilla bean and we scrape out the bean, so you get those nice the nice dark seeds at the base of that nut milk, and then pink Himalayan salt in that one. So the beginner is greens mixed with some almond milks, mixed with some sweet. You get a little bit of everything in that one. And then as you move on from there, you get into more of the, all greens, hardcore greens, when you go from the intermediate to the advanced.
So the cleanse is usually that's all you have for 24 hours? Are they longer than that? Or you have meals with it? Or?
You pick it. So you can pick your cleanse, the amount of time you want to do your cleanse for. We always recommend a 3-day cleanse is best to start. Some hardcore people will get into the 5 days, 10 days, which ultimately it's what experience you've had in the past with previously, with cleanses. If you've done, a lot of people in Los Angeles here have tried all the cleanses, from the master cleanse back in the day to water cleansing to, to specific, to citrus cleansing to, there's so much of it. I personally intermittent fast. So it's, I tend to do our 1-day cleanse every once in a while.
Right.
But yeah, it varies anywhere between 1 to 40 days. I mean, we've seen people do 40-day cleanses before and completely change their body. And it's more of a reset, to your routine as well. You really want to be able to, if you're drinking, if you're, post holidays, you're drinking a lot, you're eating a lot of heavy foods, refined sugars, your palate gets used to that. So, to cut that cold turkey and you get onto a cleanse, it's a great way to respect food again.
Okay. What do people experience on the cleanse? Do they go to the bathroom 1,000 times, or what do they feel like?
Yeah, I mean it's everything.
To put it nicely,
yeah. Yeah, some people have, it's everything from people have just hated life, and then at the end, found God. You know what I mean? They've just been a totally different person at the end of their cleanse. And then sure. other people, it's just it didn't change my life, but I enjoyed it. But what you expect on a cleanse is basically we try to minimize those hunger cravings with the blends and the types of juices we give you at certain times of the day. But ultimately, you're drinking tons of water throughout the cleanse. You're flushing your system. You're flushing your intestinal tract. You're basically releasing your body of toxins. So yes, you want to go to the bathroom as much as you possibly can. So if you aren't going to the bathroom, drink more water. Drink more water between your bottles of juice that you're consuming. So it's really just a flush. It's a detox. And so you really, really want to be, ridding your body of those toxins as much as possible.
How do you know, there's tons of cleanses out there, and I'm sure some are not really good for you at all. So how did you figure out which ones worked and which ones are good and which ones are, you should stay away from?
A lot of feedback from customers, people that just know the industry more than we do, relying on nutritionists. Back in the day when we first opened our juice bar, we, it's difficult. You can't make claims, obviously, so we're not making any claims. We just know more or less what works at what time and what juices do what for you. But nutritionists have helped a lot in just directing us into the right selection of flavors, and trial and error.
Have you found that it's a trade-off? The more difficult the ingredients to drink or consume, the better the cleanse works, or your master cleanse versus your beginner one. Is it harder for people to take because it's not as sugary, but it works better?
Well, the common misconception is, just like intermittent fasting, is that people feel like they've done a cleanse. So the day their cleanse ends, they're eating, hamburgers, fries, milkshakes. They're just going back into, drinking beer and doing all the things their old ways again immediately. So for me, I think that the preparation for a cleanse and coming off the cleanse is almost more important than the cleanse itself. So, you know, it really depends. You know, I do think that some beverages, some of our juices are kind of do different things for different people. I mean, there's I recently did my wife and I'll do a little plug for him because it's an amazing concept that he has right now, but it's called Next Health, and they have these like new age, it's all new age technology in health and wellness. And I recently did a food sensitivity test, and I eat what I consider to be relatively healthy. I'm obviously I eat in moderation. I like my wine. I like tequila, but I definitely eat, I eat great food. And so I did this food sensitivity test, and I am sensitive to cashews. I'm sensitive to carrots. I'm sensitive to, and this is all about gut health, so it's funny. Some people will just say, oh, I'm going to pound carrot juice because I hear it's good for me. I'm just going to drink carrot juice and just hopefully it's going to make me feel great. But you could essentially be sensitive to carrot juice. Or, for example, my wife is sensitive to spinach. She just found out. She was like doing spinach smoothies every single morning, but she had a little difficulty digesting it. So I think look, there's once you go from the broad overview of health and wellness and just kind of and listen to your body and know what makes you feel good, you can go one level even deeper into it. You can find out the actual things that really your body is sensitive to. And I think that's where you really start, finding your groove with what can ultimately make you feel your optimal self. I mean, that's really what we're all trying to do here, is just, live longer and feel better while you're living, so.
Yeah. I know it's just one or two examples, but what did you notice I don't know if it's too recent where you haven't cut out carrots and cashews, but, what did your wife notice? Did she adopt, not having spinach, she has something else, kale, and does she feel better?
3 months ago. Yeah. So 3 months ago is when I found out. My wife didn't, we were going back to Montreal 2 months ago to visit family. My wife didn't want to do her sensitivity, go meet with the consultant before she was going back to Montreal to know her sensitivities before Montreal, because we eat so well back there and we're just drinking wine with friends, and she's like, what if they tell me I'm sensitive to wine? I don't want to go back there and have that in my head, so we I went and I found out all my sensitivities, and I cut out those things immediately. And I found my body not over, like I sweat very easily. And so I found I wasn't overheating. I was more clear. I was sleeping better. And maybe I was really reading into it, but I definitely feel a change. And I would feel a little lethargic if I had one of our nut milks in the morning time. I felt like I had a little difficulty digesting it later on in the day, whereas some people swear by it. We have this one green nut milk. It's spirulina is what makes it green, and there's coconut chunks in it as well. It's like dessert in a bottle, and it's a great juice. But but I love that one, and I would have one of those a day. And I always had if I really think about it now, I always had like a little bit of a sensitivity to it. I think there was something and that's the cashews. So, and I've always been a huge advocate of cashews, because watching these juicing documentaries before we started our company, so much of it was on cashews and the tryptophan and cashews, the amino acid that can help. It's like they call it the happy nut. It can really help in making you a happier person. So I try to do two handfuls of cashews a day, and when I cut that out, I'm still I'm happier than ever, and I'm also feeling good. So
no, I mean, I there's certain things I eat and I go, oh, my wife too. So yeah, definitely we'll have to check that out to figure it out. At least you weren't sensitive to a lot of things, which is good. So.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend a food sensitivity test for anybody.
Okay, well, very good. So you're in La Brea, California. I know, obviously, locally people can come in, but your cleanses you ship out. I don't know if you ship out the juices or if it's even possible. I mean, how far away can customers be and still get your products?
We ship across the nation, and it's really straightforward. You go in. Yeah, so we ship around the nation. It's as easy as going on littlewest.com. We take the thinking out of it for the customer. We do kits, which are really fun. We do a rainbow kit, which is basically a sampler pack. We do a green kit, which is all our greens. And then we do a happy hour kit. So that's just, anything, you could, and it comes with a little cocktail diagram as well in there, or like a one sheet that you can get that just shows which alcohols go well with which drinks. So that's one of my favorites, because you can get healthy and have fun at the same time.
Well, very good. And then let's say the website again for people to check it out. It's littlewest.com.
Littlewest.com.
Okay. Well, great. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and we're out of time, and thanks so much for coming.
Thanks so much, Richard. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for your time.
You have been listening to Almost Here, Around the Corner Future Technology podcast with Richard Jacobs. Subscribe to this podcast, post a review to discover more future technologies that are poised to transform our lives for better or worse, such as Bitcoin, artificial intelligence, 3D printing, blockchain, virtual reality, and more.